beats. Billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
A poor man prayers,
every man bleeds.
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL550, and this is the N.G.L.A podcast. Yeah, man, so hopefully today, man, we have a good stream. It's been lightning and raining out here, so we'll see. But first of all, I want y'all to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know that every time you like, share, subscribe to the channel, it definitely helps push my videos further. So today, man, we're going to talk about a few things. Let me get this off. We're going to talk, we're going to let Karoline Leavitt fill us in on what's going on in Washington, especially with this one big beautiful bill supposed to be getting passed soon. And then we got Alex Jones with Roger Stone, and they talking about what's going on in the political arena right now. They discussing a few different topics that we're going to react to. And then also we're going to react to Myron from Fresh and Fit. So-called gets checked by, I'm believing, like somebody that just a random black dude who had something to say to him. So yeah, man, it's going to be fun today. So first, let's get into this Karoline Leavitt press interview, and let's react to this, see what they got going on. Now, mind you, I believe that it's good for you to watch the content before you actually go live, so you can kind of know. But I kind of like being raw with it, and I kind of like don't really like watching the content too much, because I wanted to kind of be like if you first seeing it, and react to it in real time. So let's get into this.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Did everyone have a good weekend?
Yes.
Good. It's good to see you back here. We have another busy week. On a scheduling note, tomorrow, President Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center located at Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron Donalds, and other state and local leaders. We hope to see many of you there. The facility is in the heart of the Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz. There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain. The facility will have up to 5,000 beds to house, process, and deport criminal illegal aliens. This is an efficient and low-cost way to help carry out the largest mass deportation campaign in American history. We are truly coming off a historic week of President Trump racking up win after win on behalf of the American people. President Trump restored peace through strength and acted decisively as commander-in-chief to obliterate the immediate threat of the Iranian regime's nuclear capabilities, and then brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, which continues to hold. Then, the president traveled to the Netherlands and achieved a monumental win for the United States and the NATO alliance by getting our allies to dedicate 5% of their GDPs to military spending. As a result of President Trump unleashing American energy dominance, summer gas prices are at the lowest they have been in 4 years, heading into the July 4th week. And with the incoming Trump economic boom, the stock market continues to roar back, with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both hitting record highs. And on this point of an economic boom, I bring to you original correspondence from the President of the United States to our Fed Chair, Jerome Powell. As the President has consistently stated, the American economy is booming. And there were so many economic analysts who said that this president's policies would drive our economy down, when in fact we have seen the opposite. We've seen a massive deregulation campaign take place. We've seen inflation completely diminished from where it was under the reckless spending and the bad policies of the previous incompetent administration. I would remind the Fed chair, and I would remind the entire world, that this is a president who was a businessman first, and he knows what he is doing. He has a proven economic formula that worked in his first term as president, and it is working again. The one problem that remains is high interest rates for the American people. The American people want to borrow money cheaply, and they should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have interest rates that are still too high. So the president sent this note to the Fed chair today. And if you look at this chart, this is a chart of all of the interest rates of many countries throughout the world. At the top is Switzerland. They're only paying a quarter for interest rates. Cambodia, Japan, Denmark, Thailand, Botswana, Barbados, Taiwan, Bulgaria, Cuba, Sweden, Morocco, Cabo Verde, South Korea, Algeria, Canada, Albania, Libya, Malaysia, China, New Zealand, Trinidad and Tobago, Czechia, Bolivia, Australia, Costa Rica, the Bahamas, Kuwait, Papua New Guinea, Bosnia, United Kingdom, and the UAE are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America.
Because like I said, they don't want to, they know Trump is going to get what he needs done. But at the end of the day, they're going to do any and everything to hold it back. And that's all they're doing. You stopping the inevitable. At the end of the day, all of this guy is going to do, I don't know, see, certain things like Trump can do. Like there's certain people in the administration that can be fired. There are also people that are in the government that can't be just fired from him. You know, it has to be, they have to be voted out, or it's definitely different components when it comes to getting rid of certain people. And, you know, unfortunately, it seems as though, because I've seen Trump on multiple occasions talk about Jerome Powell and how he's not lowering the interest rates and how much that would definitely benefit the American people, as you can see. And they're not going to do it. And I mean, right now. And I guess the goal is for Donald Trump to get his point across. You know, a lot of these guys, a lot of these people in politics want to stay in their positions. You know what I mean? And the midterms coming up, people are getting reelected or they're getting the boot. And when Donald Trump is telling people, when basically this has an effect on whether this guy holds and stays in this position. So we'll see, but it's just ridiculous, man. This dude knows that lowering the interest rates will help the American people. It's common sense. But instead of doing that and actually playing your position well in this Trump administration, what they're going to do is they're going to try to act like they're holding steady and not, you know, going with everything Trump is doing, because they have tried to convince the American people that what Trump is doing isn't the right thing.
Which has one of the
But at the end of the day, it's all about money.
Hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost, and there is no inflation. And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policies. And we will continue to drive down the cost of living in this country for Americans. We will continue to deregulate. And it's also incredibly important that we pass this one big, beautiful bill, which is the largest tax cuts in American history. And that's why the White House and the president himself have been in touch with lawmakers all weekend long to get this bill passed. And they are working very hard to do so. It remains a top priority for the president. And this bill has exposed the clear differences between Republicans and Democrats in 2025. The Democrats are doubling down on craziness and radical policies that are undermining the very fabric of our country. Just look at the Democrat nominee for New York City Mayor, Zohran Mamdani. He's a Democrat socialist, really a communist, who proudly calls to defund the police, peddles anti-Semitism, praises pro-Hamas groups, wants Israel abolished, and believes wealthy Americans should not exist. Those are his words, just as recent as this weekend. Meanwhile, under President Trump's leadership, Republicans are fighting tirelessly for everyday middle-class working Americans who re-elected this president. And we're carrying out a revolution of common sense. And all of that is packed into this one big, beautiful bill. It delivers the largest middle and working class tax cuts in U.S. history. It keeps America safe by funding the largest ever one-time investment in border security. It's enough to reverse the Biden border invasion. And every single Democrat is against that, against securing our border and deporting millions of criminal illegal aliens. The One Big Beautiful Bill also strengthens and protects Medicaid benefits, despite what Democrats are saying, for eligible American citizens who rely on it, like pregnant women, children, seniors, and people with disabilities, by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse that threaten to destroy this program that was intended for the most vulnerable in our society. And every single Democrat in Congress is against rooting out that waste, fraud, and abuse in blocking the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving these benefits that should be going to American tax-paying citizens. The Democrats in Congress are more concerned with defending illegal aliens than they are hardworking Americans. And the Big Beautiful Bill also revitalizes our military and enhances our defense capabilities, protects our country from emerging new threats by funding a cutting-edge missile defense system called the Golden Dome. And as we all know, the One Big Beautiful Bill makes the Trump tax cuts permanent. The White House and the president are adamant that this bill is passed and that this bill makes its way to his desk. Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done. So with that, we will take questions. John Fredericks is in our new media seat today. John, thanks for being here. We'll kick it to you.
Oh man, here we go again. The previous, I was saying that before we get into the questions, the previous press secretary that was in there during the Biden administration, like when she did these press briefings, bro, she lied so much, and now she want to write a tell-all book and act like she's popping out with the truth, when really, man, you was part of the problem. She was a big part of the problem. And I really like Karoline Leavitt because she is definitely, you could just tell, like she's giving you truth, she's giving you facts, she's showing you the facts. She's not just giving you her opinion. And that's what's dope about a lot of the people that's in the Trump administration, is that you're getting the truth, you're getting facts. You know what I mean? And they're showing you the facts. And that's dope.
Thank you, Caroline. Let's get to the One Big Beautiful Bill first. It appears now you're going to get at least 50 votes in the Senate. There'll be some amendments. What is the president's confidence level in getting 218 votes in the House by the end of this week in order for him to sign it on Friday?
Well, look, we are very well aware, the president is very well aware, that this bill needs to not only pass out of the Senate, but it needs to go back to the House, and we need the full weight of the Republican conference to get behind this bill, and we expect them to, and we are...
It's crazy because this is what I was saying yesterday, is that it has to go through all of this bullshit in order to get passed. And I think, honestly, man, I really think that this is like these things that I understand that it has to be, don't get me wrong, like I understand that it has to be, we got three branches of co-equal government, right? And it's supposed to balance it out where it's no one branch that has more power than the other. And it has to go through these things in order for laws to get passed. I get it. But to go through this stringent process is kind of insane, bro. Like it already went through the House, right? And it passed. So now it's going through the Senate. And we're hoping that it passes. But then it has to go back to the House? Like, I don't understand it. I thought it went from the House to the Senate to Donald Trump. And it gets passed. I don't know, man. I'm learning as I go also, so This is crazy though.
Are confident that they will. The president has been working hand in hand with Senate Majority Leader Thune and also our House Republican leader, or the Speaker of the House, I'm sorry, Mike Johnson, both of whom will be at the White House today to meet with the president yet again. I believe they were here this morning, actually.
I have one follow-up.
Sure.
You outlined Jerome Powell and the note that the president just sent to him. There are many who believe that Powell has been politicized in a lot of different ways. The president has not been shy about acting on things that he believes in. Why not just fire Jerome Powell and put in somebody that is going to lower rates? Why wait?
Well, it's a good question and one you can ask the president because that's a decision for him to make. But you're right to point out the politicization of
so he can fire him. Okay. I mean, he is the commander-in-chief, so, I mean, dang. So he can fire him. He's standing in his way of lowering interest rates, but he doesn't want to. Yeah, that's a good question, man. That's a very good question. Donald Trump needs to act on that, man. This dude, I would give him a certain time frame, whether it's a week, 2 weeks. If he doesn't lower the interest rates, I would just get him up out of there, man, and put somebody in there that that's going to do what you ask him to do. Because at the end of the day, this is Trump's administration. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the one that's making the ultimate decisions that for what goes on. And if this guy is not doing what he's asking him to do, I mean, just get him the fuck out of there.
It's very unfortunate for our country, but Jerome Powell cut rates numerous times ahead of the election when Joe Biden was in this Oval Office, but now he refuses to when the economy is in a much better place. So there really isn't a good explanation for that, and the president is rightfully calling attention to it.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Good afternoon. On Iran, the president posted on his social that he is not even talking to them anymore. When we were at NATO, he said he expected the U.S. and Iran to have talks as early as this week and that he might even want to see a written agreement. What is the update now if he's saying he's not even talking?
So as I told you from the podium last week, I said the administration, and namely our special envoy Steve Witkoff, has been in communication both directly and indirectly with the Iranians. That communication continues. The president himself has not talked to Iran, which he pointed out in his truth statement. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Does President Trump want Zohran Mamdani deported?
I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard him call for that. But certainly he does not want this individual to be elected. I was just speaking to him about it and his radical policies that will completely crush New York City, which is obviously a city that the president holds near and dear to his heart.
There's this Congressman, N.G.L.A. He wants the Attorney General Bondi to explore denaturalization proceedings because he thinks Mamdani could have misrepresented or concealed material support for terrorism based on rap lyrics he wrote in 2017. Does President Trump think this is a worthwhile use of the Attorney General's time?
Well, I'll let the president speak to that. I have not seen those claims, but surely if they are true, it's something that should be investigated.
And could President Trump see himself, you said you just talked to him about this, could he see himself working with a mayor, Mamdani, somebody who, on Meet the Press this weekend, was given 3 chances to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada, but he couldn't?
Yeah, look, the president is always willing to work with everyone. He's working with Democrats across the country, Democrat governors, and he said he'll work with people on the far left. He works with Republicans. He works with people in the middle. He wants to do what's right for America, but surely someone who holds these values and is quite literally a communist and condemns every value that makes this country great. Common sense, law and order, low taxes, working hard, and earning your keep in this country. He's against all of that, and I think the president would find it difficult to work with someone like that. If he is elected, I'm sure you'll hear more from the president on that, but we'll have to see. Hopefully the voters of New York City choose wisely. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. The president on Friday said that he was hopeful of a Gaza deal within the next week. Can you give us an update on any progress?
So real quick, I want to give some insight on. So it says right here. So I asked Google, why is Donald Trump not firing Jerome Powell? And it says several factors explain why. As of June 30th, 2025, Donald Trump is not firing Jerome Powell, despite his criticism of the Federal Reserve Chair's policies. So it says, Number one, legal restraints. The president cannot fire the Federal Reserve Chair at will. Federal law states that members of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, including the chair, can only be removed for cause. This generally refers to reasons such as inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office, not policy disagreements. Recent Supreme Court decisions have supported this limitation on presidential power regarding independent agencies like the Fed. So, let me see. So in short, basically, you can't just fire them because they differ in opinion on policy. And basically, Trump wanted to lower the interest rate, and because he doesn't want to. But as Caroline just said, he has lowered it before during Joe Biden's term when inflation was at 9% and when it was sky high. And not don't quote me on that. But I'm not saying specifically at 9% he lowered it. What I'm saying is she said that he has lowered it previously during Joe Biden's term, when we know when Joe Biden was in office that everything was sky high, inflation was high, and the United States was like in shambles pretty much. So for inflation to be basically at a minimal. So let me find out where the inflation is. So the U.S. inflation rate is at 2.35 compared to 2.31 last month. So it's like, excuse me. So it's saying this is lower than the long-term average of 3.28. The U.S. inflation is the percentage in which a chosen basket of goods and services purchased in the U.S. increases in price over a year. So let me see some. Okay, so it's saying right now that it's lower than the long term average. So basically is low right now, and instead of them lowering the interest rates, which will, and this is what I said yesterday too about they really are in the pocket of these big corporations too. Like they say Donald Trump is, but really they are. And the reason why they're not lowering the interest rates, because who benefits from higher interest rates? Companies like Capital One, credit card companies, banks. Because with higher interest rates, you pay more. So do they not want to lower it because they just want to fuck Trump on what he's doing and his plans? Or is it because they're looking out for these big corporations who benefit a lot? Let me see one more thing. I'm gonna play this while I look this up.
Towards that, on any talks that the White House is having with Israel on that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I know that Mr. Dermer is in Washington this week to meet with senior officials here at the White House. I also know that this administration is in constant communication with Israeli leadership, and the president himself speaks frequently, as you know, to Prime Minister Netanyahu. But this has been a priority for the president since he took office, to end this brutal war in Gaza. It is because of this president that humanitarian humanitarian aid is being brought into the region. It's heartbreaking to see the images that have come out from both Israel and Gaza throughout this war, and the president wants to see it end. He wants to save lives, and however, the main priority for the president also remains to bring all of the hostages home out of Gaza. As you know, his tireless effort has brought home many of the hostages, including all of the American hostages who were held there. So he wants to see both things happen, and we're continuing to work very hard to do those things. Sure.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. What is the White House's response to Senator Tillis's criticism articulated from the Senate floor yesterday, in which he said passing the big, beautiful bill would betray President Trump's promise to protect Medicaid?
Well, he is just wrong.
There we
and
go.
The president and the vast majority of Republicans who are supportive of this legislation are right. This bill protects Medicaid, as I laid out for you, for those who truly deserve this program, the needy, pregnant women, children.
What did I say yesterday? They keep trying to say that Donald Trump is making cuts to Medicaid and trying to convince the American people that, like, single mothers and, you know, all of these different people who may need Medicaid as Americans, not illegal immigrants, are not going to get it now once this one big beautiful bill passes, when it's not the truth, bro. And she's going to let you know that right now.
Children, sick Americans who physically cannot work. And what it does is it ensures that able-bodied Americans who can work 20 hours a week are actually doing so, and that will therefore strengthen and protect those benefits for Americans who need it, as well as cutting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, as well as getting 1.4 million illegal aliens off of the program. So all of those measures are actually...
Exactly. And that's exactly what I said yesterday. Getting the illegal immigrants off of these benefits. That's number one. Number two is, if you're able-bodied, if you're a man and you can go work, if you're a woman and you can go work, but I prefer if you're a woman and you have a man to stay at home with your children if you have children, and let the man go work and handle business. But if you can't afford to do that, then y'all both got to go out and work. And if you're single, you get the help. You only got to work part-time or do community service. He's keeping it the same. He's just saying that it's no longer you're just getting free welfare forever. I know people that was on welfare for over 30 years. And, that's their business and how they do things. But what I'm saying is, I don't see the benefit for people to stay on welfare for long term, because, for instance, I'll give you an example. I got a cousin who works hard, man. He takes care of his family, you know what I'm saying? But he gets a SSI check, right? Now, I understand, taking advantage of the, getting as much money as you can. The reason why I'm saying this is, when it comes to getting bigger, meaning if you want to go start a business, he has the drive to go start his own business. But you're going to lose that SSI check if you go and chase your dreams, because now you're talking about starting an LLC, getting business credit and things like that. You don't need the SSI no more once you're taking them big steps into growing as a person. But instead of growing and creating credit for itself and doing these different things that will long-term benefit him and his family, he wants to hold on to that check. And in some cases, I get it. But with his, I think that he would benefit way more if he just let that go and go ahead and get to it, because he has the drive and he has the will to be successful. You know what I mean? But hey, man, like I tell people all the time, man, I measure success and comfortability. So if you're comfortable with, collecting an SSI check or whatever and doing whatever, man, whatever you got to do to survive, man, I get it. But I just think that what she's saying is true and what they're saying is false, that he's just cutting Medicaid and all of this stuff, because they try to convince the American people that they're going to lose out. So you got people that's out there that's Americans. Because you got to differentiate the two. Because when it comes to Americans, you will still continue to get your benefits. You will still continue to get your benefits. It's the illegal aliens who will no longer get it. And they shouldn't, because they're not citizens. That's like you reaping the benefits from living in a foreign country, any foreign country, going there across the border, not legally, illegally, and then you reaping the benefits from their government. It's not going to happen, bro. It just won't happen. Only in the United States where people could just come over the border and get everything handed to them. And yo, I go back to the story I told before in one of my previous videos. This black lady, right, could not get a loan to help her start her business on her food truck, right? So she bust her ass, worked hard, and eventually was able to buy the food truck off of hard work, right? In the end, she was moving on to better things, and she was selling the food truck and ended up selling this food truck to an illegal immigrant who got a loan from the government to get it. Come on, man. That's a smack in the face to people like herself who has went to the banks and tried to get a loan and couldn't get a loan so she can go ahead and further her dreams and aspirations, man. Shit is crazy, bro. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Let's get back to it.
Actually going to protect it for those who need it. That's the president's position, and that's what this bill does, and that's why Republicans need to vote for it and get it to the president's desk.
That kind of criticism from a Republican senator, is that reason for concern for the passage of this?
No, it's not. We're confident this bill is going to be back at the White House by the 4th of July. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. On the New York mayoral race, does the president plan to make an endorsement? And secondly, on Jerome Powell, a lot of the focus obviously has been on interest rates and him keeping them high, but a new controversy erupted today. My colleague first reported that he's facing Chairman Jerome Powell is facing accusations of lying to Congress, which is a potential crime, about luxurious details of the Fed's $2.5 billion renovation project. Senator Loomis has called attention to this. Some experts want him to be investigated. Does the White House want these allegations investigated and, if found substantiated, punished?
I'll have to take a look at those allegations, and I will raise them to the president's attention and let him speak on them himself. To your first question regarding the mayoral race, the president was asked that yesterday by Maria Bartiromo. He refused to give an endorsement, so you won't get one from me at this podium unless he wants me to do that. Philip, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Sure. And then I can go to you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. The president said that he's working on a temporary pause for immigration enforcement in certain industries. I'm wondering what you can tell us about how he's determining which industries are deserving of a pass. He mentioned farmers, but what about, say, construction workers? I mean, shouldn't there just be one standard here?
I don't have any more details to read out for you, but what I can tell you is that the White House is working closely every day with the Department of Agriculture as well as the Department of Homeland Security when it comes to workforce enforcement, worksite enforcement, and the president's focus and the focus of this administration is, of course, to remove public safety threats from the streets and to deport as many of the illegal criminals, especially the violent criminals that we know are still here because of the previous administration. So that's the main priority and the goal.
And then the president has already made cuts to the office of the Director of National Intelligence, but now Senator Tom Cotton has put forward a bill that would cut the office by another 60%. What's the president's reaction to that legislation, and is this something that he would support, those additional cuts?
I don't know if the president's even aware of that legislation, but I will get you a response if he is aware and if he wants to respond to it. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. You mentioned the dangerous wildlife at the alligator Alcatraz. Is that a design feature? Why is the president going with this mega bill in such a precarious position in the Senate? And then also, can you talk about the CBO estimate that it would add about 11 million uninsured?
Well, look, when you have illegal murderers and rapists and heinous criminals in a detention facility surrounded by alligators, yes, I do think that's a deterrent for them to try to escape. We do know that some of these illegal criminals have escaped from other detention facilities, like one in New Jersey, which I know was recently reported on. So, of course, we want to keep the American people safe, and we want to remove these public safety threats from our streets, and we want to effectively detain them as best as we can. As for why the president is going, I think his trip to this detention facility actually underscores the need to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill, because we need more detention facilities across the country. The last administration let in nearly 20 million illegal people from all over the world, and this administration is focused on arresting and detaining them. But in comparison to that 20 million illegal criminal population in our country, we only have 7,000 ICE agents in the interior who are doing this very important work. And so we obviously need more personnel, we need more resources, and that's why we need to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill.
On the CBOs.
Go ahead. Yes, in the pink.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you please share some details of China trade deal? Has the U.S. agreed to ease some export, technology export restrictions?
Sure. Well, the final language that was agreed upon in both Geneva and in London was signed just past week. We can get you that final text of the agreement. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
Eamon, and then behind you.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. So on Jay Powell, has the president got a short list of who he wants to see as Jay Powell's successor, and is he going to name a successor as early as this summer?
I won't get ahead of the president on any announcements on that.
Does he like Scott Besson for the job?
Again, I won't get ahead of the president.
And on TikTok, if you could, real quick, he said yesterday he's got a buyer, but the question there is, does he have a seller? And do you have any indication from the Chinese government that they've authorized a sale of TikTok to the U.S. or to U.S. buyers?
What I can tell you is that these discussions with China regarding the sale of TikTok have been ongoing at the highest level, and they will continue. As you know, we have another 90-day extension, and it's just to continue to work out this deal and make sure that TikTok stays on for the American people. That's the president's main goal in this, while protecting their privacy and their security. Behind you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. The president has been calling for a deal in Gaza for 2 days and many posts. Who is blocking the deal? And one other thing, when he posted on Netanyahu's trial, also he said it interferes with the negotiations on Iran and on Gaza. What did he mean by that?
I'm sorry, to your second question?
When he posted about the Israeli Prime Minister trial,
yes,
he said it interferes with the negotiations on Gaza and on Iran. What did he mean by that?
It interferes because it physically and logistically was interfering. The Prime Minister was slated to go to court last week when he's in the middle of negotiating a peace deal and bringing hostages out of a war-torn region. And so the president was simply, I think, emphasizing his empathy that he has for Bibi Netanyahu and seeing him go what he's going through with his own judicial system in the state of Israel. Clearly, the president knows that very well. He, too, was a victim of a judicial system that was trying to put him in jail, as you all know. You all covered it. But President Trump prevailed. That's why he's back in the Oval Office, and he believes that Bibi Netanyahu is a great leader for the people of Israel. The president just worked with him closely to end that 12-day war and to obliterate Iran's nuclear facility, to take out that imminent threat, not just to the state of Israel, but also to the United States of America and the rest of the world. And he believes that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be praised for that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. On the mega bill and the amendment that would limit Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act, does the president want that amendment to pass?
The president wants this bill to pass. Meredith.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. On trade, we have this looming July 9th deadline coming up. We heard the Treasury Secretary say that he expects to wrap up these trade deals by Labor Day, but when President Trump was asked yesterday about any extensions by July 9th, he said, I think that would be necessary. So is the president ruling out any extensions on trade for any nations, even if they're negotiating in good faith?
Well, you heard from him directly. He said he did not think that it would be necessary. He is going to set the rates for many of these countries if they don't come to the table to negotiate in good faith. And he is meeting with his trade team this week to do that. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I just watched a CNN segment on a new app called ICE Block, and it kind of appeared to be promoting this app where you can tell people where ICE agents are. Given the recent rise...
An app that tells people where ICE agents are?
Yes. And given the rise, I believe, 500% increase in assaults on ICE agents, I wanted to see if you could comment on that and why CNN would be promoting such an app?
Well, it's a very good question. I'll have to go back and watch the clip myself, but surely it sounds like this would be an incitement of further violence against our ICE officers. As you know, as you stated, there's been a 500% increase in violence against ICE agents, law enforcement.
My bad. I had my joint muted again. But what I was saying was they gonna say why is she promoting why is CNN promoting this app that basically can tell you where ICE agents are, I guess, or something. Because that's what CNN does. They're in the Democrat pocket once again, and they will do any and everything to go against Donald Trump. Their goal and the goal of the Democrats is to go against Donald Trump. Plain and simple.
Enforcement officers across the country who
That's
are just
crazy, though.
simply trying to do their jobs and remove public safety threats from our communities. And that's something we as Americans, including journalists at CNN who live in many of these cities where illegal aliens are hiding and were let in from the previous administration, should be very grateful for. So we haven't seen the clip. We'll take a look at it, but certainly it's unacceptable that a major network would promote such an app that is encouraging violence against law enforcement officers who are trying to keep our country safe.
Caroline,
Shelby.
I just wanted to get a clarification on the Senator Rick Scott's amendment. It sounds like the president is agnostic about whether it's attached. Is that accurate?
Look, I'm not going to get into the details of the discussions that are ongoing right now, but the president wants these senators to come to a conclusion, to get this bill back to the White House as soon as possible and make sure that it's a piece of legislation that can make its way back through the House as well. So obviously there's some ping-ponging between both sides of Capitol Hill right now, but that's why Senator Thune and Speaker Johnson are working with the president in lockstep every step of the way. In the back, News Nation, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. The president did
and then
announce.
in front of you, yes.
In front of.
Sure, I'll take both of you.
The president did announce last week that the trade deal with India is closed, and this could happen anytime soon. Are there any roadblocks as of now? Are there any updates on that? And how does the president see this about China's role or its influence in the Indo-Pacific region?
Sure, yes. The president said that last week, and it remains true. I actually just spoke to our Secretary of Commerce about it. He was in the Oval Office with the president. They are finalizing these agreements, and you'll hear from the president and his team, his trade team, very soon when it comes to India.
And on China, how do we counter China on that front?
All right, so it says the one big beautiful bill, after being passed by the Senate, has to go back to the House. The Senate made changes to the bill. To the House because it says has to go back to the House because the Senate made changes to the bill. Since the House already passed its own version, the Senate's version needs to be approved by the House before it can go to the president. So basically, the version that was passed at the time of when the House already passed the bill, once it got to the Senate, they made provisions, I guess, and made changes. And so now it has to go back to the House and be reapproved by the House. It's all dumb shit, man. But I'm guessing once it goes back to the House, maybe let me see, should only have like maybe a certain, let me see, Senate amendments. So the House initially passed this version of the bill. Senate amendments. The Senate then made changes to the bill, creating a different version. Concurrence were required when a bill is amended in the second chamber. In this case, the Senate, it needs to go back to the first chamber, the House, for a vote on the changes. Final vote. If the House approves of the Senate's version, the bill can then be sent to the president. Yeah, this is... Then it says, if the House does not agree with the Senate's changes, a conference committee of members from both House may be needed to resolve the differences. So basically, it's just a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of ping pong, and like she just said, and you know they're going to try to prolong it, man. And it's just stupid, man, because it's people like me, for instance, who works, the average everyday taxpayer who works, who is looking forward for this bill to pass so it can go into effect and it can help us generate more money in our pockets. We gotta wait for these fucking idiots to stop playing games, basically, in order for them to pass the bill. Instead of like, look, the House already passed the bill. It goes to the Senate. If they passed it, come on. It should be a timetable, and it shouldn't be because they'll do shit like go on vacation or do dumb shit so they can just prolong it, bro. They just want to prolong it for nothing. I just think it's ridiculous.
Yes, I mean, look, India remains a very strategic ally in the Asia Pacific, and the president has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Modi, as you know, and he will continue to have that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. On the reconciliation bill, Senator Tillis from the floor yesterday seemed to suggest President Trump was getting bad counsel on the effects of the bill. Is President Trump aware of the analyses, and there are several of these, that suggest if rural hospitals potentially close, if there are Medicaid patients in the millions that become ineligible for that?
Yes, and that claim is just simply untrue. Rural hospitals comprise 7% of all hospital spending on Medicaid, and that illustrates that they have not benefited from the massive increase of waste, fraud, and abuse under the Biden administration. So this bill strengthens Medicaid. It will protect those benefits that hardworking Americans need, and that's why the president wants this bill to pass. The senator was wrong. The president put out a Truth Social post addressing it, and then the senator announced he's no longer running for office anymore. So I think that case has been closed, and the White House is continuing to focus on getting this legislation to the president's desk for his signature.
Like just overall, just dumb shit, just dumb questions that they already know the answer to, but they got to put the question out there because they just want to give people, they just want to put doubt. Like, if we could just put doubt in people's heads about this bill or any legislation, anything that Donald Trump does, if we could just give them doubt, then they'll go out there and they'll protest and they'll say that they shouldn't do it and we shouldn't do it. And then you get all of these Democrats who get on CNN and all of these different legacy media, Democrat media stations, and they'll tell you that all of these hospitals are going to close, all children are going to die, people are going to, they'll say dumb shit like that. Like, oh, the American people are going to be affected so much, people could die. Like, man, get the hell out of here, bro. It's all fake. It's all fake news, people. It's crazy.
Go ahead. Yes, you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, you and then you. There's confusion here.
A question on Syria.
Go ahead.
Has the Syrian government get back to you that they are ready to join the Abraham Accord? Is there any discussion with the Syrian and Israeli government for having a security agreement? This is the first question. And the second question, what's the end goal for talking with the Iranian? Is that only focused on the nuclear program, or they are willing to speak about other issues like the proxy groups and ballistic missiles, or even trade with Iran?
So as for discussions between Syria and Israel, you'll have to reach out to those respective governments. I can't comment on that. But what I can tell you is that this afternoon, the president will be signing an executive order to terminate the United States sanctions program on Syria. And this is in an effort to promote and support the country's path to stability and peace. The order will remove sanctions on Syria while maintaining sanctions on the former President Assad, his associates, human rights abusers, drug traffickers, persons linked to chemical weapons activities, ISIS and their affiliates, and Iranian proxies. And this is, again, an action that the president promised and shocked the world with in Saudi Arabia, because he's committed to supporting a Syria that is stable, unified, and at peace with itself and its neighbors. The president met with Syria's new president when we were in the Middle East, as you know, and so this is another promise made and promise kept by this president to promote peace and stability in the region.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Caroline.
Sure.
Questions on two topics, if you don't mind. I
Sure.
will start with NTD here. First on Canada. Canada says it's now dropping its digital services tax on American tech companies days after President Trump says he's halting all trade talks with Canada. First, what's the president's reaction to this? Can you tell us more about his call with Prime Minister?
All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this video because I got more videos. Y'all want to check out the rest of that Karoline Leavitt press conference? Y'all can go to just type in Karoline Leavitt press conference. It'll come right up. It's one of the latest ones for today. So now I want to get into the conspiracy theory man at his best. The one and only Alex Jones and Roger Stone. So this Alex Jones with Roger Stone talking about a few things that's going on. So I like Alex Jones though, man, because he gives you I had a previous video on one of my episodes where I showed you him earlier in the year talking about what they were going to do as far as protesting and things like that against Donald Trump with the whole immigration thing and stuff like that. He already knew. This is a guy who has been he's in a deep journalism when it comes to the history and the government and things like that. He's like really deep in this shit. And I believe that he used to be, let me check. Because I think Alex Jones used to be, if I'm not mistaken, I think, let me see. So let me see. It's like a lot of hosting live call-in program in Austin, Texas. So it's like a lot of radio stations began broadcasting online through Infowars.com and was syndicated nationally by GCN. His partnerships with GCN helped his reach grow significantly, and at its peak, his show was broadcast on over 100 stations. Okay. So mainly he's been doing a lot of like radio, but this guy, he definitely has big sources, man. He has big sources who he definitely reports on. He's in the know. Let's just say that. So let's just see what they talking about. I didn't watch this video. I watched it like the first beginning, and I know a little bit of Roger Stone. I just know that these dudes are the real deal when it comes to journalism and shit like that. So let's get into this video.
The way right now. How big are these revelations about JFK? And Trump continues to order it all released, and we learn they don't release it all. And I know you've been following that. Congress is having hearings about it. That's something that's gone off the radar with all this Israel news. We'll get to that in a moment. But what's the latest on the JFK and RFK and MLK declassifications?
Look, the unsung hero here, there's two of them. One is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who continues to fight the bureaucracy, fight the CIA specifically. The other one is Tulsi Gabbard, who works with her, because there are a number of key documents, key videos, key audios, key transcripts that we know for a fact that the Assassination Records Review Board had in the 1990s, and they just suddenly have disappeared. They were not turned over under the president's order. Last, I guess it was Friday, I was in New Orleans. I decided to go by and see Carlos Marcello's home. Carlos Marcello was the gangster who ran the mob in Louisiana and Texas. We know from the Assassination Records Review Board that they had audio recordings from bugs that they put in Marcello's jail cell both before and after the assassination. But they're not among the materials handed over by the National Archives under the president's order. The House the House Select Committee on Assassinations in the 70s did an entire investigation, and they concluded that organized crime played a very significant role in Kennedy's murder, which they did, along with the CIA, along with Big Texas Oil, along with the ringleader, the drum master, the guy calling the shots, one Lyndon Baines Johnson. Yet not a single document, not a single artifact produced by NARA has to do with Marcello and the mob. So there are a lot of things missing. The CIA continues to hold back all of the material regarding Joanides, who was really the guy who was the CIA's liaison with the House Select Committee, where the CIA.
So to give you a little on this guy Roger Stone, so he's a Republican. He was is a Donald Trump longest serving political advisor, best known for the Mueller special counsel investigation and his alleged involvement with and connections to Russia interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election as the consultant of the Donald Trump campaign. He's also worked with Republican campaigns such as Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, Bob Dole, George W. Bush, and Trump. He's also, let me see. He was also arrested in connection with the Mueller's investigation and charged with witness tampering, obstructing an official proceeding, and making false statements. In 2019, a jury convicted him on all 7 felony counts. He was sentenced to 40 months in prison. And on July 10, 2020, days before Stone was to report to prison, Trump commuted his sentence. Stone, August 17, Stone dropped his appeal. Trump pardoned Stone on December 23rd, 2020. So he was part of that whole Russia interference thing. Okay. And I believe that he also, let me see, he also has books too. So this guy is deep in politics. Long story short. deep into the politic world, just like Alex Jones is. So this is going to be good.
They basically stonewall. They produced no documents and no testimony. My hat's off to Anna Paulina Luna, who continues to fight the bureaucracy to get these missing materials, and Tulsi Gabbard, who's been very active in helping her.
And that's another issue. Let's do that before we hit Israel and the real bombshells you've got. Everybody's going to get tomorrow's news today here. Just like I said, the big scandal would be that we didn't really get their fissile material because they shipped it out. Whether that's true or not, I said last week.
Notice what he just said. He said everybody's going to get tomorrow's news today. That's tough. It's tough because he's letting you know that he's in the know, bro. He knows what the fuck is going on. So that's crazy.
That's what's going to happen. That'll be the new story, the new scandal. Now the Democrats are trying to create that scandal. But we know there was a bunch of people with the auto pen. There was a committee with the Clintons, Obama, and Biden's wife who would then come to consensus on what they would do and the payoffs they were getting and what would happen. But then we now know there was a subgroup in Control the Auto Pen that was just selling pardons to run-of-the-mill drug dealers, murderers, criminals, for themselves. They were running their own little shop, kind of like stealing from the people that were stealing, or stealing, you know, from the committee that was really Biden. So I predicted they would have one person who was willing to be the patsy and say, yeah, it's no big deal. I was authorized by the president to do whatever I wanted. Is if he just told her, you make the decisions. That's what I see happening here. We have a clip here we'll play in a moment. Ex-Biden aide Neera Tanden admits under oath to House Oversight Committee that she controlled Joe Biden's auto pin. Though from all of our whistleblowers that have talked to Ed Martin, it was a consortium, it was a committee that you predicted before they stole the election on air that it would be a committee that would run it because of your sources. So now they're trying to go, oh, this is the lady and it's no big deal. Before I play this clip, this is huge, that the fact this is starting to come out now, and then that dovetails with what you said 4+ years ago. The Chinese, the perfect ballots, flown in, jammed in, now all confirmed. The FBI suppressed that, just like the Hunter Biden laptop. That's something the last 2 weeks with the Iran crisis went off the radar screen. These are some of the biggest scandals ever, Roger, in my view.
Well, Alex, if you actually go back and look at the Alex Jones show several weeks ago, when you and I first talked about this, I named Neera Tanden in that interview as the point person.
You did?
I think she was a point person. What I don't understand, Kash Patel, is why you have not stormed her home at 6 o'clock in the morning with 29 heavily armed FBI agents and arrested her. If she is not prosecuted, then this administration has failed. I believe that all of these auto-penned signed documents are invalid. I think they do not have the force of law, and they should be violated. If some federal judge somewhere doesn't like that, well, that'd be too damn bad. We have to have a rebalancing of the scales of justice in this country. Neera Tanden is a criminal. She did this. I'm not sure if she was doing it for ideological reasons or whether she was also doing it for payoffs, but nothing that was signed by the auto pen has the force of law. Trump should act accordingly. If some judge wants to get in the way, well, then challenge the judge.
I agree, Roger. Roger, there's no speculation here. You predicted it when Obama got that new White House, alternate White House during the election 2020. You called it all. You probably said, Trump's not having as big a landslide. I've looked at the numbers. He's going to lose a month before, weeks before, and they're going to have this committee that runs it. Biden's a puppet. They'll have him step down at some point. You literally are like crystal ball level. I mean, people say, I'm to margins today. You've aced that. But specifically, obviously, she didn't just do all of this without authorization. My issue is, you're right. She was the point person. You first reported it. So we've got to raid her and indict her so she flips on all those above her. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. And the real truth is, who was it giving her directions? Was it Susan Rice? Was it Valerie Jarrett on behalf of Barack Obama? In other words, she's a mid-level operative. She's an ideologue. She's a criminal. But I don't think she was making decisions. I think she was carrying out the decisions by the de facto power structure.
Well, obviously, they were going to let her rule the Biden plutocracy. So with that, I don't think that's a speculation. The question is, who was it? But you already said 4.5 years ago it was going to be a committee run by Obama. How did you know that?
Because it was clear to me that Joe Biden did not have the mental capacity to be president. It was amazing that they were able to prop him up as much as they were during the 2020 campaign. But I think it is. I think it's absolutely crucial to note here that we need, first of all, a Watergate committee style investigation into this in the Congress to get to the bottom, put these people under oath, charge them with treason, with perjury, if and when they lie. Now, for those who say, well, this is all going to go away because Joe Biden is going to say that he authorized her. Folks, Joe Biden is going to say that he's Mahatma Gandhi and right now he's on Mars. There's no way to control what he's saying. He's around the bend. He's
incredible, but segueing, Trump calls for a special counsel to investigate rigged 2020 election. That ties into all of this. We need a special counsel. I agree. outside of that on the auto pen, but what about the China ballots FBI suppressed that they knew indeed it all happened, just as all the whistleblowers told the Gateway Pundit and you and I 4.5 years ago?
Exactly. But Christopher Wray, the FBI director, specifically said under oath that he had no evidence whatsoever of foreign interference in the 2020 election. When in fact, he knew about these 20,000 Chinese created fake driver's licenses that were being brought into Chicago. So he's indictable for lying to Congress, a charge that I'm very familiar with. Because
and by the way, that 20,000 is all we know, is what we know about.
That is correct. And then you have the Secretary of State in Colorado, Jenna Griswold, who posted all the passwords for their entire electoral system online. Arrestable, extremely arrestable. We absolutely do need a special counsel to study this. Ed Martin would be an excellent candidate, or Phil Klein. I think he's the Attorney General of Kansas. They've both done excellent work in this area. But we need a special counsel on the 2020 election. The left tried to say, as you know, there was no evidence whatsoever. Actually, Alex, the evidence of fraud in the 2020 election is overwhelming. It is ubiquitous. There is so much fraud, it's absurd. It would also get you to the rest of the criminals who were involved, the Norm Eisen, Mary McCord, Andrew Weissman crew, all perfectly indictable. I've seen an 82-page indictment already drafted on Andrew Weissman. I'm just waiting for Pam Bondi to pull the trigger.
Well, that's even General Flynn, who we know advises Trump on record unofficially at the highest level, along with you, put out a report a few days ago saying, where are the indictments? We're 150 days in now, or however many we'll put on screen. And this is the biggest issue with the public. That's why this war at another level has been a giant distraction to our domestic agenda. We're 156 days in. What the hell is going on here, Roger? Because like you said, this stuff is cut and dry. This is low-hanging fruit.
Well, I totally agree with General Flynn, who remains a very, very close friend. The left likes to call us the Flintstones. I guess they think that's an insult. Frankly, that's a high compliment. General Flynn is one of the finest American patriots I've ever met in my entire life. And I worked for 3 presidents and scores of U.S. senators, governors, members of Congress. I've never met a stronger leader, a greater patriot, or a finer Christian gentleman than Michael Flynn. I've become very friendly with his entire family. This is an entire family, because there are 9 brothers and sisters, an entire family of patriots. And he's absolutely right. But I can't answer your question, Alex, because I don't know the answer. I happen to know, for example, that the Justice Department is examining a case in which the Department of Justice under Joe Biden, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and a woman who's now over at the Fed, essentially as chief disperser of funds, absolutely knew that a New York bank, Standard Charter, was violating the Iranian sanctions and was funneling tens of millions, I think as much as $90 million to Iran in violation of the sanctions. Where are the indictments?
And again, this is the pattern I see with Pam Bondi, Patel, Bongino. They will put out Crossfire Hurricane documents. They will put out
all right, let me
FBI suppressed, way bigger than the Hunter Biden laptop, the Chinese, hundreds of thousands, million ballots coming in confirmed. Everything we said at the time for the whistleblowers and the postal drivers and all of it. They will put out all the truth. They will send out the Epstein files, all the bureau offices investigate, but then nothing happens. So it's very weird.
That is the truth, though. You've been having Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, even Pam Bondi, getting up and saying they're gonna put out the JFK files and the Epstein files and the MLK files, and yet we still haven't seen nothing. But like he said, they definitely have, like, for instance, all of these protests that was going on and this whole thing on the Iran and Israel situation, I do believe what he said is the truth, that it's all just a smokescreen to distract people from what's going on here in America right now. And I think that's the truth, man.
It is, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but I really don't. I can tell you this, it's not a subject I'm going to give up on. Look, the president, as you might imagine, has been extremely distracted by the situation in the Middle East, but I know he's committed to justice. And perhaps, this argument that, well, if you reveal these things, you'll damage the institution. Please don't make me laugh. I mean, that's like John Brennan saying Tulsi Gabbard's not qualified to be the